Date range controls give your viewers a way to change the time frame of a report. This makes reports that include date-based information interactive and lets your audience focus on the time frame that's important to them. A date range control displays the current time frame for the page. To change the time frame, just click the control and select new beginning and ending dates using the calendar, or select from one of the presets. Let's change the date control to look at just the past 7 days. Notice how the time series chart updates to the new time frame. Here's how to add a date range control to your reports. First, we'll switch to edit mode, and then delete the existing control so we start with a blank slate. To add a date range control, select it from the toolbar. Then draw a box where you want the control to appear. You can style the date range control using the Style tab options. Date range controls inherit the default date range in effect for the current page. Let's change the default date on this page to a rolling date window of the last 7 days. The date range control reflects the new date property set for the page. Rolling means the dates are relative to today. The other option here is fixed, which means the dates will always be exactly as you specified them no matter when you view the report. Most of the time, you'll probably want your date range control to apply to all the charts on the page. But it's also possible to limit the scope of a date range control. There are 2 ways to do this: by setting an explicit date range property for a chart, or by grouping charts with the date range control. Let's look at setting an explicit date range property. We need a second chart for this demonstration. Let's duplicate the time series chart by copying and pasting it. We won't set a date range for the top chart, so it'll use the default date range. But we will set the bottom chart to always show the first quarter of 2016. Let's view this report and see how it behaves. Changing the date range control affects the top chart, but not the bottom one. That's because charts that have their own date range property override the date range control. Okay, so now let's look at using the group feature to limit the scope of a date range control. We'll get rid of the chart with the fixed date range property and draw a new one. The new chart inherits the date range property from the page, the same as the top chart. Now let's put the top chart and the date range control into a group together. First, select the things you want to group. The easiest way to do that is to click and drag to select them. Then right-click and select Group. Let's view the report one last time. When you change the time frame on this page, only the group chart gets changed. The chart outside the group still shows the page-level time frame. To learn more about date range controls and the date range property, visit the Data Studio 360 Help Center.